Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions. I'm Ron Mackenzie Lafergie. With the release of the Cloverfield paradox last month, we received even more insight into the Cloverfield situation. While much of it remains in mystery, we now understand the circumstances around it somewhat more. That, however, does not make it any less terrifying. If we were suddenly attacked by giant monsters, the world would be in trouble. How much trouble? Let's explore. Now get ready, it's time to ask the question, what if Cloverfield was real? To clarify, this video will take into account events and circumstances surrounding the original Cloverfield movie, as well as 10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield paradox, as they are all related. However, it will focus largely on the monster from the original movie. And in case it wasn't blatantly obvious, this video will have spoilers. First, let's very briefly get everyone up to date. Cloverfield takes place in 2008, and tells the story of the attack of a giant monster that surfaced from the bottom of the ocean. This monster, nicknamed Clover, laid waste to New York City alongside the dog-sized parasites whose bites caused their victim to explode. Needless to say, this was a terrifying experience. In Cloverfield Paradox, which took place in 2028, Tegurato, a Japanese mining company, was developing a new technology that could result in essentially infinite energy. This Shepard particle accelerator was 1,000 times more powerful than previous ones, making some nervous that it could have dangerous side effects. As it happens, they were right to be nervous, since the machine ended up causing a split in the fabric of space-time. This caused monsters from other dimensions to attack the Earth, with some attacking it 20 years previously, thus causing the events seen in Cloverfield in 2008, Cloverfield Lane in 2016, and Paradox in 2028, simultaneously. So what would happen if this happened in real life? How might humanity react? Well, Clover was incredibly powerful, both strong and highly resistant to damage. It took a great deal of military power and the destruction of New York City to take it down. If it did appear, humanity would likely react in a similar way. There would be hysteria in the area in which it surfaced, military would be called in, and we would try to take it out as quickly as possible. Eventually, there's a good chance that we would choose to nuke the area to keep Clover and its parasites from spreading. You may recall this tactic from our video, What If Cthulhu Was Real? However, unlike with Cthulhu, this would likely be effective, at least in trying to destroy the beast itself. While some doubted that the beast was dead, it was confirmed by J.J. Abrams that it had been killed. However, the parasites would likely be even more successful at killing than Clover, with roughly 2,000 of them going out in search of food. There's a good chance that even if we were able to kill Clover, many of the parasites would survive, and could potentially even breed and become more numerous. If the parasites weren't exterminated, there's a chance that they could pose a significant threat to humanity, particularly if they're able to breed as quickly as other parasites we know, like mosquitoes. So if we were up against Clover, humanity would take some damage, but we would likely be able to defeat it with the weapons we have available, even if some parasites may have survived. Unfortunately, it gets worse. How? Well, it turns out that this creature was barely an infant. Considering an entire city was destroyed to defeat a baby, if we were up against a fully grown version, it's difficult to imagine us surviving. We might see beasts as large as the one seen at the end of Cloverfield Paradox, whose head reached past the clouds. And chances are, it would take more than a few bombs to take out that thing. This brings up another point that should be stressed. Each of these films takes place in alternate dimensions. While the Earth is largely the same in many versions of the multiverse, the space-time rupture would affect each world differently. This means that it could be that we could face completely different obstacles, possibly ones not seen in the films. Maybe we would come up against a zombie apocalypse and have to fight off a zombie horde composed of our own. Maybe we ourselves would be the invaders. Heck, it could be that we would meet a benevolent group of beings and it could actually improve life on Earth. With so many options in the multiverse, the sky would be the limit. And now we return to our question, what if Cloverfield was real? Well, if we faced a monster or monsters similar to those seen in the films, the Earth would be in a good deal of trouble. Even with a baby like Clover, it would take great sacrifice to take it down. If it was larger or if there were more of them, we might be doomed, particularly if the parasites began to reproduce. However, since we don't know where we stand in the multiverse, it could even be that we would face completely different things not seen in the movies. That said, I don't know about you, but I'd much prefer it if this stuff stayed in the cinema. Thank you for watching Life's Biggest Questions. I hope this was interesting and informative, and maybe even inspired you to look into it further on your own. If you like this video, please thumbs up and subscribe to the channel down below. While you're down there, let me know what you would do if this movie came to life. If you want more What If videos, check out our biggest What Ifs playlist on the channel. Until next time, I'm Ron Mackenzie Lafergie with Life's Biggest Questions, wishing you the best of luck on your quest for answers.